Hey guys, I have another art journal page from the archives. This one I think is from early 2017, late 2016 even maybe. So I'm working in my prototype of a hand-bound watercolor journal, and I just have a piece of watercolor paper that I cut to fit in my journal. So this is 5 inches tall by 8 inches wide, and then it's scored in the middle, so it fits in my book. And I took this embossing folder by Tim Holtz and ran it through my watercolor paper to get that texture. And then I'm going to take these die cuts. I believe these are spellbinders, and I'm just going to collage them onto the background of my page. I'm using my Collage Page mat, and I'm just going to put a layer under and over to really sandwich them in, because I'm going to add a lot of fluid paint and water, so I really want to make sure that they have a good adhesion. I'm gonna cut some of the die cuts to get like little pieces of them and adhere them on. And then after I have all of that done and dry, I'm going to do a little stamping, but I cut the rest of it out because you don't see it after I add the paint. So I have Indian yellow hue, quinacridone magenta, and teal in my golden fluid acrylics. This combination of colors is just my fave thing in life. In any, I love this combination in the Dina paints. Really anything that's got this yellow, magenta, and teal is okay with me. So I'm going to add a couple spritzes of water to my page first, add little dots of the paint, add some more water. I'm going to kind of move it around a little with my finger, just in like the areas where I put the paint, like without mixing it, I guess I should say. And then I'm going to mix it a little bit because I don't want it to mix too much, because I don't want the purple that the teal and magenta make to mix with that yellow. So I have to be a little bit careful. And then I'm going to add, it was looking a little too color blocky for me, so I'm going to add a little bit more of the different colors around the page. And then I'm going to dry that first layer. Mostly, but not, it doesn't matter if I dry it completely because I am going to add more water, but I'm going to mostly dry it and add a second layer of color. And this is when the intensity gets okay for me. This is when I'm happy with the intensity. There we go. So I'm going to add a little bit of Hansa Yellow Medium because that other yellow was a little too dark for me. I wanted something a little bit more bright. So I'm going to add a little bit of that, a little bit more magenta, and then I'm going to dry that completely. And now I'm going to do the stamping that you can see. So I'm going to take this mesh texture, it's called, by Viva Las Vegas Stamps, with a light gray ink, and stamp all over as if this page needed more going on in the background. And then I'm going to take this row of numbers by Viva Las Vegas Stamps and some black ink. And I like to use this stamp to like kind of frame in my page. I like to do it on the edges, so it kind of acts as like a little bit of a border or a frame around my page. And I'm just going to stamp that around until I'm happy with it. And then I'm going to go in with some Daler Rowney FW acrylic ink in Process Cyan. This is one of my fave like pops of color. I love to add it as splatters or as drips. So I'm just going to take the applicator and draw a line across the top of my page, and then I'm going to add some water to get it dripping. Now that teal and the magenta there on the right is my favorite part, but the reason I covered it up and didn't put that Process Cyan on the other side and cover up that yellow is because if I had done that, then it would have been a lot of blue on the page and not a lot of color variation, because it would have covered up that yellow, and sometimes you have to sacrifice. So to make those die cuts pop a little more, I mean, in real life you can see it, but when you're just looking at it, like, I wanted to make them pop a little bit more. So I'm going to take a blue watercolor pencil. I'm going to spray a little bit of water on my nonstick craft sheet. I'm going to dip the pencil in the water and then draw around the outline of my die cuts. And doing it this way, dipping the pencil in the water first, helps get a more intense color than if I had just drawn the pencil on the page, because acrylic paint is essentially plastic, so this pencil would have had a pretty hard time drawing on top of it. I mean, it would have, but not as intense as I wanted. So I'm just going to go around most of my die cuts until I'm happy with how they're looking. And then for a focal situation, I'm going to add that little chick there. She's from Dina Wakley. And then I have these collage words by Dina Wakley. They're on tissue paper. And first, before that, I want to do some embossing. So I have this Letter It embossing powder set with these delightful bright colors. I'm going to use the turquoise and my row of numbers. And if you noticed, I had the Letter It embossing pad and then I switched it out for my Versamark. And the reason I did that is because the Letter It one is very new and the pad is very like springy. And since this is such a small detailed stamp, I was afraid that you wouldn't be able to see the detail if I had used that super springy pad, because then the embossing ink would like get stuck in the middle of those numbers, and I just needed a pad that was less springy and had less product on it. So that's why I used my Versamark. And then I just added my turquoise embossing powder, melted it, and then I'm going to go around my whole page with an ink pad, a black ink pad. I'm going to bring it in a little bit from the edges, and then I'm going to take that blue watercolor pencil and go around some of that embossing powder just to highlight it a little bit. And then this is the part for me that I'm like, why did you do this? So I'm adding like a light veil where my chick's going to go of gesso, and I did not need to do this. But you know, it's always, it's that step that you take that you're like, why did I do that? But it doesn't really matter. I mean, you can't really see it in the end, but as I'm looking at it here, I'm like, come on. So I'm gonna use some clear tacky glue to stick my chick down, and I hate when glue like squeezes out from the edges of the stamp, so I'm just gonna smear it around with my finger. I'm gonna add a little bit of washi tape underneath my chick there. This is the Dina Wakley washi tape. I'm just ripping it, and then one of these washi tapes has like a scalloped kind of design to it, so I'm gonna cut the scallops out so it looks like real scallops. So I'm just going to cut that out, which was a little bit of a pain to do because it's sticky, because it's washi tape. And I'm just going to stick that down there on the bottom of my chick. I just wanted a little bit more colors and stuff. And then I'm going to add some of the Dina Wakley Media scribble sticks, because this page is legit mixed media. There's a lot of different products on this page. And then I'm going to go in with my Stabilo mark saw. Oh, I just did some little cheeks on my girl with the scribble sticks. And then I'm going to go in with my Stabilo mark saw, my black water-soluble pencil. I'm going to draw around my chick and then activate that black with a little bit of clean water, just to give her a little bit of a shadow, make her stand out a little bit more. And then I'm going to take my Posca paint pen, ultrafine tip in red, do a little journaling on her. It got a little lost, so I am adding a little bit of magenta. I had to cut some of it out because I don't know if I'm getting old or what, but my face was really in there. I really had to get close to see. So all you saw was my head, so I had to cut that out. So I added some pops of teal on my chick's dress there. And then I'm going to cut out these collage words. If I wanted them to stand out a little bit more, I could have backed them on some cardstock or something, but I really wanted them to be a little more subtle than that. So I'm just going to go over and under them with Collage Page Matte. I cut that out because I'm really trying to keep my videos under 10 minutes so YouTube doesn't add that stupid second ad after your video gets 10 minutes long. So irritating. So that's why I cut that out. And then, I mean, it's not that, it's just glue. But I'm going to go around my chick with some of that same Posca paint pen in red and add some sizzling pink neon splatters for a little bit extra wow factor. And that is it for my page. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye bye, guys.